Doug and PA back with another video. So guys, I have my Awful Women and Their Foolishness series, and go check it out, the playlist on my channel. And I covered Carly Russell and a couple of other women who've made these false police reports and false accusations. Well, this story came up, and this is one of the OG false accusers. Susan Smith is eligible for parole in 2024. Now, guys, I'm 42 years old, so I remember when this story actually happened. So back in 1994, Susan Smith was a single mom, and she started dating this guy who said, "I don't want to deal with a woman with children." So she deleted her two children, and she said that two black guys carjacked her car with her kids in it. So anyway, she's eligible for parole. We're gonna look at the story. We're just gonna do a quick recap of Susan Smith for those who want to take a trip down memory lane with me, or people who've never heard of this woman before. Before I do that, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. It shows you support me and what I'm doing over here. And guys, only reason why Susan Smith is eligible for parole is because she's a woman. If a man did this, he'd be buried under the jail for the rest of his life. So these are her two sons. The last pictures in 1994. What a sad, sad tale. It says the story of Susan Smith from Union, South Carolina, left a lasting impact, and decades later still evokes strong emotions. The tragic and deeply unsettling case affected many people, myself included. So this is Mike and Dorothy McKinney. In 1994, Smith called the police and claimed that a black man stole her car with her two sons still inside. The carjacking abduction scenario was distressing enough, but the truth that eventually emerged was even more horrifying. So I try not to make my channel about race at all, but there is a thing that people claim that black guys do stuff because I guess it's more palatable for the public. Because she intentionally said a black guy carjacked her car. And what's about it is, I guarantee you, the police busted heads of all the black dudes within 20 miles of this case. I gotta look that up and see if there's they kind of follow up on that. Did any of the black population say that the police did a crackdown in that area when she made this lie? Anyway, so but she intentionally said a black man stole it because she knew what would happen if she said that. In actuality, Susan Smith had strapped 3-year-old Michael and 1-year-old Alex into their car seats, driven her car to a boat ramp, and pushed the vehicle into a lake, causing her two sons to not be here anymore. It took 9 days for the truth to come out, and even then, investigators, family members, and the public were baffled as to how a mother could so callously delete her children. So that's her husband. I always wonder, why couldn't she have just given her children to the husband and divorced him and left? Says Smith's confession. Veteran agent Pete Logan, who worked for both the FBI and the South Carolina State Law Enforcement Division, led the investigation into Susan Smith's claims. Several early clues indicated that she was not telling the truth. The first came when Logan interviewed a city maintenance worker who said the traffic light where Smith claimed to have stopped didn't turn red unless there were other cars present, which was contradictory to her story. Confronted with this, Smith changed her account and said that the carjacking took place on a different road 10 miles away. All you have to do is start asking questions. It all starts falling apart. But surveillance video contradicted the story too. When Logan and the sheriff again confronted Smith on her collapsing narrative, she finally confessed. According to former agent Logan, Smith fell to her knees and cried hysterically. Because of course. So why did she do it, guys? Smith's tearful interview were even more haunting in retrospect, with the knowledge that a mother could perpetuate such an unimaginable crime against her own children and then lie to cover it up. Once again, one of the point behind my Awful Women and the Foolishness series is we still have this visceral reaction from when we see women doing this kind of stuff. I can't believe she did that. What caused her to do that? Was it postpartum depression? We have to understand. No, guys, we don't. Guys don't get understanding. So these women shouldn't get any understanding either. Women fought for equality, feminism. So treat him the same as a man. No understanding. She did the crime. That's it. At the time of her confession and arrest, the news media reported that Smith committed the heinous crimes because the man with whom she was having an affair with, Tom Finley, didn't want children. Boom, there you go. However, during her trial, Seymour Halleck, a psychiatrist and law professor, testified for the defense that Smith was suffering from severe depression and suicidal ideation and had multiple affairs, including with Finley's father. What? As well as her own stepfather, Beverly Russell, and others. Guys, you gotta vet the women that you marry, guys, and have kids with, if you decide to do that. Because this is the type of woman you can let into your life. This is the type of woman you could have kids with. Like, this is crazy. Smith later denied the affair with Finley was her motive and argued that she was not the monster people thought she was. 20 years after her conviction, she penned a letter that said, "Something went very wrong that night. I was not myself. I was a good mother and I love my boys. There's no motive as it was not even a planned event. I was not in my right mind." Because, accountability for women is like kryptonite. However, Smith's acts were as deceptive as they were heinous. For 9 days following the incident, she made emotional televised pleas along with her then husband David for the safe return of her babies. I remember that. I was 14 years old when this happened, guys. I remember all this. And on the news, I hate to bring it back to the race thing, but they're like, "See, black people and black men." This is right around the same time that Hillary Clinton was calling black men super predators. I remember that too. Ah. Additionally, investigators learned that Smith began manufacturing her lies and alibi while running through the woods immediately after pushing her sons into the lake. In other words, she knew she knew what she had done was wrong. After her conviction, the defense argued that Smith suffered from a variety of mental health issues and was diagnosed with dependent personality disorder. The jury spared the death penalty and opted for a life sentence, guys. Only because she's a woman. If this was a guy, she'd be buried under the jail. And this is one of the first high profile cases I remember of a woman making accusations, and then they had all the police and all the search helicopters and everything like that. The whole nation was on her side. This is on every single news network. Every single piece of the story was all over the United States. So this is one of the first national news accusation cases, and it wasn't true. And this is still happening in 2023, guys. Carly Russell. I did that story on my page about that girl in Pennsylvania who was lying about going to college, and 2 weeks before graduation, she faked her own kidnapping. This is, and I would argue that it's happening more and more now because of social media. So she was in the Women's Correctional Center in Columbia, South Carolina. While in prison, she received at least 5 infractions for harming herself, narcotics, marijuana, other violations. And this is interesting. While incarcerated, Smith was also consistently flagged for engaging in relationships with guards. According to the New York Post, Smith's first 2 decades behind bars were spent engaging in a cyclone of bad behavior. As a result, securing parole may be difficult for the convicted child deleter, especially taking into account an incident in 2000. At that time, 28-year-old Smith was caught engaging in activities with a 50-year-old prison guard, which resulted in a ST. Oof, yikes. Cagle was jailed for 3 months for having the affair. In the subsequent year, prison captain Alfred Rowe confessed to having a relationship with Smith, which resulted in him receiving a 5-year probation sentence. What's with these guys, man? Come on. Well, anyway, um, we're gonna cover this I'm gonna make sure to see what happens next year because I guess it's supposed to be November of 2024, October of 2024. Will she get out? The sad part about it is, oh yeah, November of 2024. There's a chance where she could, guys. She could be walking free, which would be a travesty. So let me know if you remember this story, if you remember this woman. Let me know what you think about it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one.